millions of dollars for its alleged failure to protect his wife, Sergeant Gabrielle McDonald. She committed suicide, and her husband's lawyers say the police systems in place to manage her illness were woefully inadequate and put her in a perilous position. If the legal action is successful, it could compel the police to change the way they deal with officers mentally injured in the line of duty. Lorna Knowles reports.
Under pressure? Under pressure.
Gabrielle McDonald had three great passions: her family, her horses and her career as a police officer.
Gabrielle started off at our pony club and she was very successful, very good rider.
When she finished school, she went straight to the police academy. That's all she wanted to do, was become a police officer. It was a vocation for her. It wasn't just a job. It was something that she loved to do.
But her promising life was cut short. The mother of two took her own life in 2013.
Telling the kids their mother had died was the worst thing, any parent could do. It was horrific.
This small suburb of Sandgate in New South Wales came to a standstill for her funeral. The state's most senior police officers were there in full regalia.
So many casualties in this story. It goes beyond Gabrielle's death. There's so many, as I said, people have been traumatised about what's happened, and it was all avoidable, in my view.
Tonight, 7:30 can reveal a series of systemic failures led to Gabrielle McDonald's suicide. Failings that her husband says go right to the top of the New South Wales police force. In 1990, after Gabrielle McDonald graduated from the police academy, she was stationed in inner Sydney. It was here she met her future husband, Andrew McDonald.
She wasn't afraid to get into a fight or arrest the crims or to do whatever had to be done to sort out the job. So, yeah, she wasn't afraid of anything.
Gabrielle and Andrew went on to have two children and both worked as police officers in Newcastle. It was here that Gabrielle became increasingly troubled by some of the things she saw on duty.
A young boy trapped at the river, drowned, and having to deal with family and that, and it really broke her.
It just kept playing on her mind, and it just was eating away at her and causing her a great deal of stress, insomnia, flashbacks, things like that.
She was diagnosed with post-traumatic stress disorder and depression and took 2 months off work.
She was making some improvement, I felt. Then she went back to work, but her workload had remained the same. No one was doing her job while she was off sick for that time, and that caused her a great deal of angst.
But Gabrielle's problems were more complex than her husband realised. She was also having an affair with a senior ranking officer and had been exchanging sexually explicit messages with another. They can't be identified for legal reasons. A few months after the affair ended, in late November 2012, Andrew noticed something unusual in his home office.
I found a book in the office, a diary that Gabrielle had kept from when the kids were young, and she left a post-it note in the book, so she obviously wanted me to find it, and it was unusual where the book was, a diary. And I read it, and it was a suicide note to myself and to Jessica and Josh. So I couldn't believe what I was reading.
I want you to understand the extreme pain I'm in. I'm in the darkest place, and all I want is for the pain to go away.
Andrew McDonald raised the alarm and Gabrielle was found semi-conscious in a colleague's office and rushed to hospital.
It was just luck that we found her before she died.
This first suicide attempt was never investigated by police.
It's investigation 101, it's what police do, and it's appalling that it was never done.
Gabrielle McDonald returned to work in March 2013.
I tried to convince her to leave the police, to be left medically unfit, but she didn't want to do that. I was troubled. I wanted her to leave the police, but she didn't want to.
On the day before she died, she was sent to see a police medical officer, Dr. Naresh Verma. He was not a psychiatrist or psychologist, but was a GP. He saw Gabrielle for 1 hour. In that time, he concluded that her previous suicide attempt wasn't genuine and that she didn't have PTSD.
All the staff have thought, well, OK, things must be on the improve. Maybe Gabrielle's not sick at all. Maybe she's pulling the wool over her eyes. And it was clearly wrong.
The next morning, she was summoned to a meeting with 2 supervisors. Crucially, her husband was not invited.
You've called that a fateful meeting.
It was catastrophic.
Tell me about what happened.
They told her that she was going to be moved to Charlestown straight away, and they stood up and said, we'll go now.
She left the meeting in tears.
She rang me and she was very upset and told me what had happened in the meeting and asked me to meet her at home because she was really upset.
But Gabrielle didn't go home.
I waited at home. Her inspector rang me and he was starting to worry because he couldn't find her and she wouldn't answer her phone.
Andrew had one last telephone conversation with his wife.
She said, I can't go on anymore. This is, I'm not getting any better. I'm such a burden. They keep kicking me down at work. All I'm trying to do is get my hours up. This is hopeless. And I said, well, you can't do this. I pleaded with her and begged her not to. And, she said, I love you and the kids. And, we talked about all the things we'd done together, but nothing I said would make sense to her. She was just that determined to do it.
Gabrielle took her life in a state forest north of Newcastle.
This is Constable Hero from the Police Legacy. It's a teddy bear that Legacy give to families who have lost an officer.
It's been 3 years since her death, and Andrew McDonald's main focus now is caring for their 2 children. But he also wants to hold the police force accountable for their loss. He's suing the state of New South Wales for millions of dollars in damages, claiming the force failed to protect his wife from harm. He's also complained to the health watchdog, the Healthcare Complaints Commission, about Dr. Verma. The doctor, who's left the police and is now training to be a psychiatrist, has been criticised by a coroner over the suicide of another New South Wales police officer, Morgan Hill, in 2009.
I was dumbfounded. My wife saw the same doctor and she suicided the day after she saw him. I'm just devastated. The Commissioner needs to do something about that, and if he can't, then the Premier needs to step in or the minute.
After an investigation, the Healthcare Complaints Commission found Dr. Verma did not adequately inform himself of the factors relevant to Gabrielle's presentation, did not prepare an adequate report, and lacked care when advising the employer about his recommendation. He's now under the management of the New South Wales Medical Council. Andrew McDonald, who was until recently on track to become a police inspector, feels let down by senior police.
The Commissioner wouldn't lose too many sergeants on duty through suicide in a year. He never picked up the phone and just said, I'm sorry for your loss. Police are very good at dealing with incidents that happen, crimes, fatal accidents, death, but it's what happens behind the thin blue line, behind the counter, that's the worry.
Lorna Knowles reporting, and if that story's raised concerns for you, remember help is available. You can call Lifeline on 131114 or Beyond Blue on 1300 224636.